Hello, and welcome to the Delusional Boyfriend Book Club. My name is Courtney, and I'll be your host. And today I'm joined by my BL anime guest host, Val from Girls Gaze Animes. Hi, Val.
Hey,
I'm so excited to have you back. Thank you for being here.
you know I love it.
So today we're talking about Classmates, which is in Japanese Dokayusi. Is that how you're saying it?
I think it's Doko Sei.
Dokosei. So I'm glad they have an English name. We'll just refer to it as Classmates.
Classmates.
This is one that I saw on my For You page all of the time. I was getting edits of this constantly. Is this one that you had seen before I brought it up?
No, it's so crazy because when you brought it up, I was like, hold on, let me Google it. Is this new? I've never heard of this one before.
It's so funny to me that it just like completely flew past your radar because I'm like, I have been seeing this like very distinctive, that blonde hair, like the like almost 80s feathered hair. I'm like, I
It's
see
such
it
a
all.
unique animation style too that like I know I would have remembered. And the fact that like upon reflection, the only thing that I had seen of it was like a figure of the two main characters. And now I look back and I'm like, oh, now I know what that's from. But that's the only thing even remotely close to a preview of it that I had seen prior to watching it.
That's so funny because you think like the DL algorithm is feeding us all the same thing, and we get in our echo chamber, and it's weird when stuff goes past us. So we just did our little research and realized the manga came out in 2008, and we're on to what did we say, the seventh?
Volume 7 will be released October of this year, which is currently 2025.
Amazing. And that one is going to be like the spin-off them as adults. So, and then our anime came out in 2016. So
Correct.
we've got a little bit older of an animation style, and how I want to know how you felt about the art, because if this was drawn in 2008, makes a lot of sense that the art is as like retro and nostalgic as it is. But how did you like it?
Yeah, so I was like looking at pictures online of like the manga style itself and comparing that. And so even though the anime is a bit newer, being a 2016 anime, I did really like that they stuck to the traditional style that was in the manga. So it made it feel, like you said, it was like nostalgic. It felt like I was watching a way older BL,
Yes.
but I love what they did with the animation style. Like I think there were a couple scenes where he was like running or like the way that his hair moved. And I was like, man, this is so cool. You don't see that because a lot of times with like newer adaptations, you get like the like more more traditional current like realistic style faces or eyes. And
Yeah.
it's just I really like the way this one was done.
Yeah, you and nowadays, like thinking about Twilight Out of Focus, like it's so
Mm-hmm.
and I think they're like made in similar years because Twilight Out of Focus was that 2018 or 2020, something like that. But they've got the very crisp, like their bodies are very crisp, and on this one, it's a little bit more like sketchy, and the way,
Wispy.
yeah, and the way they run is goofy, and there's just a lot more of the animation that's less like detail oriented and more kind of like cartoony goofy. And I thought it was really, really cute. Like and there was certain, there was a lot of beautiful scenes in this, as far as like
Yes.
the scenes by the fountain and like really small detail moments where they're like in a shed, and I mean things are really nice and in detail, but the lighthearted moments breaking into like the goofy run and the like
Mm-hmm.
the cartoony atmosphere, it felt very high school and it felt very youthful, and I thought that was really cute. I really did like
I
this
agree.
different
Yeah.
anime style, and I love the character design of our main characters. So I guess we've got our title, Classmates. It's by Asumiko Nakamura. And then our tropes for this one are going to be first love, high
Mm-hmm.
school. We've got like a delinquent slash valedictorian trope going on here. We've got like the top of the class and the like kind of goof off kid who doesn't really care about school. We've got, I want to say, black cat golden
I
retriever,
was also
even,
gonna say black cat, golden retriever.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's very much that. And even though I would say like our golden retriever is like a rock star, so
Mm-hmm.
he's not like he's not your typical, he's kind of a bad boy golden retriever, but very much that trope going on as well. And then we've got coming of age
Mm-hmm.
and like a gay awakening or coming out story as well.
I can't remember. This wasn't an all boys school situation,
It's
right?
all boys
Okay,
school,
that's yeah.
so
Okay,
that's definitely another trope here, which we
yeah.
see so often in these BLs is the all boys school. It's not a boarding school, but it is all boys.
Mm-hmm.
Which is funny because there's a moment where one of the characters is like, "Oh, have you heard the rumors going around?" He's like, "What rumors?" And he's like, "The kind of rumors that only go around in all boys school." You know, the gay kind.
Right. What do you mean? What kind? Like,
What kind? The only rumor that anyone would care about is
right.
if two of us are kissing. So yeah, we've got an all boys school, and then kind of like spoiler free summary is that we've got our two they would be like sophomores, I guess, in
I think
America,
so.
their second years, and they're in the same class. And like I said, one of them is top of the class and the other one is not, but they're in a music class, and the smarter of the two is just kind of lip syncing along, and the other one is very musically inclined, and so he takes it upon himself to tutor him in the ways of reading music and singing, and that's where their relationship starts, and then we see them go through high school together. So that's kind of the spoiler free summary. Our characters are going to be Saijo. He is the really smart one who has black hair and glasses. He's like your typical gloomy nerd, like high stress, gets panic attacks on trains. Like,
Oh yeah, that was such a big like detail point
oh
in the
yeah,
story.
he is very much in his head. And then we've got his counterpart whose name is his first name is Hikaru, but he doesn't go by that. He goes by Kusakabe. And yeah, the name Hikaru is so much easier for me because of the summer Hikaru died. But so Kusakabe is this like blonde rock star character who reads music super easily and doesn't, he seems to be kind of like all the teachers kind of scapegoat him. There's several scenes where he's kind of getting like knocked on the head by teachers, and
Mm-hmm.
he's just goofing off. He doesn't care about school. He doesn't want to go to college. He barely cares about the band that he's in. He seems to just be very aloof,
Mm-hmm.
and carefree, and is a good counterpart to Saijo, who is like this big bundle of expectations and nerves.
I think what you said just now, like, it explains the whole plot so well because you talked about how the blonde haired character doesn't really care about a lot and he kind of like, he doesn't want to go to college. And those 2 points alone are kind of like what leads us to the main plot points of the story. So to like maybe jump into the more spoilery version,
Yeah.
he doesn't care about anything except for this guy at a certain point. Like through his tutoring lessons, he obviously falls for him. But then where it gets dicey is because he doesn't care about anything. He doesn't care about college. Well, his nerdy, gloomy cat boy that he has a crush on does. And so it creates this like rift between them where obviously the black-haired, nerdy glasses character is preparing to go to a top school. Well, blonde guy's obviously not going to get into a top school. And then knowing that, you're thinking, okay, well, how did nerdy glasses guy end up in the same school as blonde hair guy band kid anyway? Because a lot of times there are entry exams into certain classes for high school and stuff, so like how they end up together. And you brought up his train anxiety. So then we find that he has panic attacks if he goes on trains, and you have to go to testing centers to take the
Mm-hmm.
tests to qualify to get into specific schools. And so we basically find out, right, that he's at this high school with the blonde kid because he failed his entrance tests and ended up
Yep.
at this school. So then when it's time for applying to colleges and stuff, he can't get on the train. And so it kind of like lends them back to like, all right, they're healing their relationship because he was there for him and stuff. But it's like that's like the whole premise of the story, the whole premise of the movie. And so like that's like the meat of it. And so I think that covers up to volume 3 or 4 of the manga. Is
Which
that right?
are you gonna be collecting them?
Well, so I don't know if I'll collect them. I'll probably find them at my local library, which shout out to my local library. I was perusing the other day and I found Lullaby of the Dawn on Comic Plus for free. And so I've been reading through Comic Plus and I am obsessed. And so I'm sure they'll have it at least through Comic Plus, if not in hard versions at my library. Because I do want to read it because the fact that volume 6 is got the cover, like you said, they're in tuxes, like it looks like wedding apparel, and then we find that volume 7 is like their after married life to a point that you made earlier, right? Like that's I want that. I want that closure, because sometimes the high
Yep.
school romances can end on happy notes, but you never get that fully satisfied. Like, oh, they ended up together feeling, and I know I can get that with this, and so
Yeah.
that makes me want to continue it.
For sure. It gives me kind of like the Seaside Stranger vibes where it's like I love to see people fall in love, but I want to see them make it last. And I want to see
Mm-hmm.
this, you and I are both married and it's like sometimes the interesting part of the love story is like making it from the honeymoon stage of we just first started dating
Mm-hmm.
and we're so infatuated with each other to the like I'm going to be here with you for the rest of your life even through like the boring stuff and the hard stuff and the family stuff. And I usually steer away from a high school romance just because it feels shallow, and I do love when we get that final arc of like no, these people are going to grow together and stay together, and that always makes me really happy.
Yes, and I mean, even in the movie, and it was a pretty short movie, I feel
It was
like,
1 hour.
which it's crazy to me that it debuted in theaters in Japan. Then the fact that it was only an hour long.
Yeah, it was very, and I mean, with that same comparison, it felt very much like Stranger by the Shore because it was
Mm-hmm.
also 1 hour and it's also encompassing like quite a few volumes into that one movie. And it does feel like it leaves room for another anime. Like maybe we could get more, and I'm sure we won't. I'm sure if we don't get the dub, we're definitely not going to get a sequel, but it makes you hopeful that we could.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I, I'm definitely going to be collecting this physical. I really, really love this. And I love the dynamic of the blonde hair character having absolutely no fear in life. Like he's not scared of anything. He has no stage fright. He's not afraid of looking stupid. And then our other character having so much anxiety and finding himself like having his first beer and going to his first party, all because of this guy. And there's this moment where he basically the blonde guy asks him like aren't you like didn't you ever think in our relationship, I guess we're skipping around a bit, so basically we have
Recapping.
our 2 years of high school that we spend with these guys, and we see them like train train in their choir. Basically they're training for this choral competition, and once we get past that moment we see them cramming for their college tests, and then we see the blonde haired character making this realization with his school counselor and the music teacher that the guy he's in love with is going to go to college in Kyoto. And it's so funny because he's just like, wait, is Kyoto University in Kyoto? And he's
Yeah,
like,
he's like, at first he's
yeah,
like,
you
yeah, good for
dumbass.
him going to that school. It's such a good school in Kyoto. Kyoto, where's Kyoto? Is that in Kyoto? We're like, yeah.
He's like, does he plan on leaving me behind? And he wasn't even going to tell me. And so he confronts him and he's just like, when were you ever going to tell me? And like,
Mm-hmm.
didn't it ever strike you that you would have to leave me? Won't you miss me when you're gone? And we get that perspective from Saijo of like, I am going to miss you. And I don't intend on changing my life plan to do whatever the boy I'm seeing is going to do. Like, I'm going to move forward and go to college and stick to my goals and you know, keep my ambitions alive, regardless of the fact that I'm in a relationship and I might have to give that up. And I think that's something that in straight media we see all the time, which is like, and in real life all the time, is women
Mm-hmm.
being like, oh, I found a man and now I'm going to switch which college I'm going to. And now I'm going to switch what major I'm in. And I'm going to switch my life so that I can be around this person. And I really like that this character was like, I have no intention of doing that. I want to stay by your side, but I can't give up who I am in order to like cater to you being aloof and having no plans. And I thought that was like, it was a great representation of that, the strife that you feel with your first love to
Mm-hmm.
stay in the same lane as them and on the same page as them while you're both growing into different people. And I love that the characters they have like two little breakups during the story, which felt very realistic. Like sometimes you take space from people and you need that space, and when they get back together, Saijo is like on the back of the motorcycle that the blonde hair guy is riding, and he's just like, well, like, what did you decide? And he's like, basically, I decided that us breaking up is not an option. So
Yeah.
like whatever we're going to do, we're going to do it together. So if I have to move to Kyoto, like that's what we'll do. And he gets him to his entrance exams. And once he comes out, he's like, how did your exams go? Were you nervous? Whatever. And he's just like, I don't care how it ends up. I did my best. And now it's kind of just like in fate's hands. And as long as we're by each other's side, like whether I get into that university or that program, it doesn't matter as long as we have love and we're both like committed to doing this life together. And I just thought that was so sweet.
And I could be remembering wrong, but I feel like when the blonde guy was confronting the nerd about his plans to go to Kyoto, he wasn't so upset about him going to Kyoto as he was upset that he didn't tell him. He's like, you're not even
Yeah.
giving me the opportunity to decide what I want to do. Like, I'm not asking you to change your plans, but allow me to make my own decisions about what's going to happen. Like, if that's what you're going to do, he's like, I'm going to support that, but you don't trust me enough, like, in our relationship enough to just be open and tell me I have to find through someone else. I have to find out through our teacher. Like, and that's
And
why
there
he was upset.
and there is that also the like defining of the relationship where basically there's a couple different moments where Saijo doesn't know if they're dating. And
Mm-hmm.
so, and he's this like, he has this bad anxiety. So there's a couple moments where he's like eavesdropping on the other guy and he hears him not necessarily confirm that they're dating or whatever. And the blonde character he's pretty clear about it. He's like, we kiss, we're dating, like we're dating. And Saijo not telling him that he's going to Kyoto is kind of like that confirmation of like, okay, so you don't consider us together. You don't consider
Right.
me your boyfriend. If you're not going to tell me where you plan on going to college and that you plan on leaving, like you're not including me in your future. And I see us as a couple and I see our future together. Can you confirm that that is how you're also feeling? And he does have to, even though he's that black cat character who doesn't want to be vulnerable, he's just like, no, like you're right, we are dating, you're my
Yeah.
boyfriend. And when he takes him to that like final test where he's doing his entrance exam and he's like, can I kiss you? And he's like, no, people are looking. And then he goes and he kisses him anyways. And
I
he's just like,
know. It's
it
so
was so
good.
sweet. And it's this thing that's like, yeah, you're usually the much more forward partner, but in the end, I do have to meet you. Like
Mm-hmm.
it can't always be you chasing me. In the end, I have to lean in and kiss you sometimes. I have to initiate. I have to confirm that I'm just as interested in you as you are in me. And I really felt that by the end of it. And I really bought their relationship. And like I met Wolfgang when I was 18 and he was 20, and it feels like very similar age for these characters where it's like the idea that you'll stay together forever is like the odds are slim. They're really
Mm-hmm.
slim that at this age you're going to find your soulmate. But like how magical if you did. Like how magical if this is your first kiss and the last person you'll ever kiss. Like that's really romantic.
You're such a romantic where I'm like, I had a friend recently and she's older. She's like in her late 20s, let's say.
Mhm.
And the only guy that she'd been with was like a hookup from work. And then she eventually started dating someone. And I'm like, hey, this is not a healthy relationship for you to be in. And it was like, after a year, I'm like, dude, you're crying like every other week because he's not giving you what you need out of the relationship. Like, I'm not saying he's a bad guy, but I'm saying he's not a good fit for you and like what you need. And she's like, yeah, but like I have to give him a chance. I'm like, straight up, girl, this is your first boyfriend.
I know people who have gotten married to that first person, who I was like, "Oh my God, had you just had one other fish in the sea, you might have realized that what you were feasting on wasn't that great." Like
Mm-hmm.
just one other. And so I have that romantic bone in my body where I'm like, oh, but what if you like,
Right.
what if this is the person? But damn, I have seen it not work out more times than it does work out. And it's funny because in all of these stories, we've got Sasaki and Miyano, and we've got Twilight Out of Focus, and we've got this one, and we've got Stranger by the Shore. And it's always like with the first love, it's like, how often is your first love your last love?
Wait, that's a good point. So, like, I mean, I know all these like first loves are supposed to be in game, but is there ever like a BL that you read where it's like their first love and then you're like not rooting for them, where you're like, no, they're not a good
They're definitely not going to end up together. Well, and
Yeah.
that was kind of also the vibe I got from Twilight Out of Focus, with the idea that the one couple has
Yeah.
the red string of fate and the other two couples, I think, probably move on and break
Hmm.
up and aren't endgame. But it is funny when you're in a romance genre and you're just like, how much do I suspend my disbelief that these high schoolers are going to stay together forever? Like, this isn't Utah. We're not marrying at
Right. I mean,
Brigham Young in our first year. But
and like you're reading and you're like, oh man, I want them to be together because like that's the whole story. But then at the end you're like, they're not gonna make it. It's like, wait, no, I don't ever actually think that. But then I'm looking back and I'm like, man, maybe I should be thinking that afterwards.
yeah, like these two are going to go to college literally this one character is going to go to college, the other character is not going to go to college at all. They're going to get their first apartment together, they're going to traverse all of those hurdles and stay together. Like, I have something very close to that in my real life and it's still not realistic to me.
Well, that one's hard because like that one I almost feel like they have a better shot of lasting, right? Because one person's not like giving up a career, they're not giving up their
Yeah.
dream, they're just moving. The problem is, and this is where it becomes toxic sometimes, is the person who doesn't have aspirations becomes dependent on the one who's like working and like has a dream, and then it can create like resentment. So like it can work, but there's also like, ooh, it could be toxic if there's not the right communication. I feel like it's harder on couples though where it's like, oh, we got into different colleges in different areas, and it's like, maybe we'll circle back, maybe we won't.
Yeah, trying to force some kind of long distance thing. I do love that this character, the blonde character, it feels very similar to um which one is it? Pink Heart Jam, where
I haven't
they
read
have
that
like,
one.
you haven't read it? Oh my gosh, the Pink Heart
No.
Jam is so good because they're both like musicians, and there's a final concert at the end, and like the whole point isn't to be in this band forever. And so you're kind of like moving on and growing up. So this is graduating from high school and having the last concert of high school. In Pink Heart Jam, it's the last concert that this guy is having as a senior in college, and he's graduating before the next guy. And same thing with like Sasaki and Mino, I guess, is we've got Sasaki going to college first. And so when you've got that like a little gap in age, but these two are the exact same age,
Right.
they're going to graduate together, they're going to do everything together. And so I can believe it, and I'm definitely rooting for them. And honestly, there was so much symbolism in this movie when they're like singing the song that they have to learn at the beginning. It's all about young leaves like blooming, young branches blooming, and how they'll be together when they're older. Those are like the lyrics in the song. And watching it, because I just did a rewatch of it, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much symbolism in that moment. And then there's a poem that the blonde character is remembering about being out in the shed and having his sleeve get wet by the dew. And I'm like, I see a bunch of symbolism about how people can, as you are young, that youthfulness can either remain or you can grow old together. And there's just something really romantic about that for me, of like, with Wolfgang, like, I'm going to grow old with him, but I'm going to keep him young as long as I can. And like, when you know each other, when you're that age, I think you see those like old married couples who knew each other when they were teenagers and they still act like teenagers. And so it is one of my, as believable or not believable as it is, First Love is one of my favorite shows. I was totally here for it. I'm going to collect all the manga. I'm going to get the figurines. Like, I was just going back through the anime edits this morning, and I'm like, oh, just reposting all of the anime edits because I thought it was so, so cute. The only not cute part about this story is we got the weird pedo teacher.
Yeah, that was, so I was going to ask you, and maybe it's in the manga, it's unclear to me whether or not the teacher was like coming on to him in a way to make him realize, or if he was actually coming on to him, like if he was doing it to like push him to his limits to make him like feel his true feelings for the other guy, or if he was being gross. I genuinely couldn't tell. And to like all your point about symbolism and stuff before, that stuff usually goes over my head. Like I have to be told stuff, but even in that moment, I'm like, is he doing it to be gross, or is he doing it to like make this person grow up?
It was very interesting to me because that teacher clearly is, I think they're trying to make the point that that teacher is gay, that they can
And
tell.
they did, because like at the end he was like asking about, the blonde guy was asking that teacher about like being intimate with another guy, and he's like, well, you
Yeah.
would know, so
He's like, how does sex with another guy go? And he's like,
yeah.
oh, nobody listened to him. Like, I wouldn't
Yeah.
know. And so I do think he's their counselor, he's their music teacher, and I think he is trying to counsel them in a way that's like, you guys are clearly in a relationship, you're clearly having a fight, are you breaking up, are you guys together, can you acknowledge that you're in a relationship with another guy? And it was very tricky for me, and I'm excited to read in the manga and see what that relationship is like, because on one hand it's very disconcerting to be like, okay, this teacher is way too invested in the love life of the students and does try to push them to admit their feelings for each other and maybe tries to push them to come out of the closet. But the way he does that by like flirting with one of them to get him to realize that like being attracted to a man is a, a valid life, like that is a valid orientation, the way he does that in such a flirty way feels predatory. And it was very strange, and having the blonde character kind of break up that moment
Mm-hmm.
and not hold it against the younger man who clearly was having this authority figure come on to him in a way that he couldn't really control. I like the way that they handled it. I like the way that he punched the teacher in the head and
Yeah.
drags the other guy off, but I was still just like, fuck, why can't
Yeah, and I didn't see it as the teacher trying to force him to come out of the closet. I took it as like he was just trying to make him realize his feelings for the other guy. I think it had less to do about like the gay part of it and more about the like the glasses kid being bullheaded and like
denying himself
repressing
happiness?
any sort of feelings, right? Like
Yeah.
he could have been in love with a guy or a girl, and like the pressure of someone else, regardless of who it is, coming onto is like, I don't like this, and part of why I don't like it is because I do have feelings for someone else. To your point, it's
Yeah.
predatory regardless, but I felt like it had less to do about like him trying to get them out of the closet or do whatever, and more just him realize his own feelings, because I raised my brother when he was a teenager partially, and telling them something they will defy, and it's probably a teenager thing. It probably has nothing to do with being a boy. But this teacher, who knows how long he's been at the school, who knows how much experience he has making like kids come to their own decisions, because he knows telling them, even though they know in their heart it to be true, will make them defy that. And so he's
Yeah.
like, all right, I'm just gonna like play dirty, I guess, and make them come to their own realizations, because me telling them, hey, you're in love with this guy, is gonna make them like rebel and get further away from their true feelings. So
Yeah.
while it was gross, I feel like it was done with good intentions. And he
And
didn't push the line. It's not like he like, I say it was, I believe, and maybe it's because I watched it a month ago, I believe that he wouldn't have taken it beyond the point of the guy realizing his true feelings for the other guy.
yeah, he moves a cigarette from his mouth into the kid's mouth, which is like an indirect kiss. And then he like leans in for it, but he doesn't do it. And part of me is thinking like in that moment also, he wasn't just trying to get Saijo, the black-haired kid, to
Mm-hmm.
realize his feelings. He had told Kasu, oh my gosh, Hikaru,
The
whatever
blonde
the
guy.
one, he had told him, tell Saijo he has to come to counseling after class. And
Mm-hmm.
he had made this note to the blonde kid, kind of almost to make the blonde kid jealous and to make the
Yeah.
blonde kid realize that, like, okay, well, I'm gonna have the same conversation with him. And so that's when the blonde kid comes to his rescue and pulls him out and really admits to himself, like, okay, whatever drama we have going on, I'm not going to leave any room for somebody else to get in between us. And then for the black haired kid, it was the moment at the concert where the girl is asking for the blonde haired guy's phone number. And so it was those two moments of like jealousy, which I always like jealousy as a trope. Like, toxic jealousy is one thing, but I like acknowledging that emotion of like, if you're jealous about somebody, there is more going on here than friendship. There's more going on here than a fling or just hormones. Like if
What did
you have
we
that need, you there's something you want to protect there.
we talked about this recently with another series. I feel like it was I Ship My Rival and Me. We were like, what's going to get them to fall in love? And we were both like, it's going to be something to do with jealousy. One of them is going to
Yep.
be hit on by somebody else. The other one's going to get jealous and be like, oh crap, these aren't regular feelings. These are romantic feelings.
And I'm like, I'm actually so here for that. Like, I don't feel like, I just feel like that's realistic. Like, when you realize, when you think to yourself, oh, I'm not the jealous type, or I'm not the possessive type, and then someone makes you feel that way for the first time, and you're like, oh, when it comes to you, I don't even know who I am. I don't even know how I'd react if I saw somebody else touch you or whatever. And so I always love that. Speaking of touching, the scene where they're like, because the black haired character is like a little emotional baby. Like, he goes to that concert, he sees this girl get the number of his boyfriend, and he slams a couple beers, and then he blocks his phone number. And he's
So
like,
dramatic.
it's so dramatic, and it's so me coded. Like, this is just like, catch me doing this to Wolfgang like once a
Oh my
week, just
god.
like blocking his number and being like, you can't get a hold of me. And then when he does get a hold of me, he's like,
Like
where
they
are
don't
you
go to
at?
the
And I'm
same school. Like,
like, yeah. It's like, where you at? It's like, I'm at the same park I'm always at. And he runs to him,
literally.
and he like feels him up, and he like touches his spine. And I was just like, that it's so funny because it's like Twilight Out of Focus was so explicit in a certain way, and so was Dakaichi. Like,
Yeah.
they were like spicy, and this series being as wholesome and as innocent as it is, it's called Classmates. It's set in high school. There is no spiciness at all, but then it makes like the moment where he like feels up his spine, and he's like, I can feel each one of your vertebrae, and he feels his shoulder blades, and he goes, shoulder blades are the vestiges of wings. It's like, so it I know, I was just like, oh, I had this like butterflies like the first time somebody like grazed your hand in high school, and it's just like that first feeling of like, oh my gosh, what is this? And then there's a moment where the blonde hair guy was like, he's finally kissing me back. He's finally letting me kiss him in a dirty way. And they like have a little tongue. And I'm like, oh my gosh, something about this feels so much more like intimate than those like super spicy scenes in the other ones, because it's more of that slow burn, and it's that, I don't know, just I felt like the representation of those firsts for these two were like really, it was really intimate, really sweet, and it was really special, instead of it being this like spicy moment. Like, it really, yeah, the first makeout session, like it made me feel like my first makeout session, where it was like the world is kind of like opening up. And yeah, and I just, that moment where he's like feeling up his back, it's still making me blush, because I'm just like, oh, that first intentional touch where somebody is like, this, you and I, this, we're gonna ride the chemistry out, we're gonna see where this goes, like that can be just as like exciting as a full-on honey smut scene in Dakaichi. So I thought it was super cute, and it also didn't make me feel at any point like, even Twilight Out of Focus a little bit was like, oh, these are high schoolers. And
Yeah.
this one like didn't even toe the line. It was like appropriate all the way. I think it's rated 12 and up. It's like, it is like got a very PG, it's like PG-13 rating, very PG. And I still felt like we weren't missing that extra bit, I don't know, that little extra thing. And I'm glad that the manga goes on to see them as adults, because I think it would be fun to watch them like get married and be in their 20s.
And the fact that it only takes 7 volumes to get like to their adult life is also super satisfying,
Yeah.
because to some extent you're like, wow, this is really dragging on. We know they're going to end up together. Let's just get like a how things are going if they do
Yes.
stay together sort of thing. So 7 feels pretty good. It doesn't feel overly long or dragged on at all.
Sasaki and Mino has like 10, I think, doesn't it? And we don't ever get to a point where they're married. Like,
I don't
so
think so. It's like I was into that one when it first started airing, And then after I watched it, I was like, yeah, that was good. And I just never picked back up the manga.
I bought a bunch of the manga, didn't read through all of them, and I loved the show so much. I loved it, but that
The
slow
English
burn,
dub was so good.
it was so good. But also the slow burn manga high school is that's going to be something that is just not that's just like not my bread and butter. And I'm really excited to
Pervert.
I know. I'm like such a pervert. I'm like, give me adults and give me smut. But like, I'm really excited to read Given and to watch Given, but it's a similar thing where I'm like, it's deep, it's sad, it's high school, it's so I'm like,
I'm
yeah,
gonna be honest, and they're gonna crucify me with this. I don't like Given. I don't like it. I read it. I watched it. It was so boring to me, and like I went to the double feature. I did a whole episode on it, and I was like, man, for the fact that like I wish that this side couple that we've never met before got more screen time because the original couple is so annoying. I just and I don't
and
know,
honestly,
and it could
it's
be
a fan
because like
favorite, but I've heard people say that they don't love the main
the
couple as
mains.
much. Yep.
Yeah, it's and it's something about like people. I don't. This is another thing I'll probably get crucified for. I don't understand people whose like when music is their whole personality. I don't understand people like that. Where like they hear a song and they're like, "Oh, that was such an emotional experience for me." I don't know if it's because I don't have that flavor of autism or what, but I'm just like I don't get it. And it's just like everyone in the series, with the exception of maybe like one or two of the older characters, like music is their personality, and I'm like, grow up. Like I don't know.
I
I don't
actually
know.
I kind of get what you mean because like one of the reasons I love this character in Classmates is that
Mm-hmm.
he is like this rock star who doesn't really care. Like he's just
Yeah,
like, I don't care if my band breaks up. I don't know what I'm gonna do
he
with
seems like
my
he just
life
plays music for fun, and
just
like
for
that's it.
fun.
And he give it up. He's like, yeah, it's fine, whatever. I'll doesn't
Yep.
matter.
And then in Pink Heart Jam, same thing. The character is like a great musician, but it's not his whole personality.
Okay,
And
so when you mentioned
ends
it
up being
earlier, I was like,
abusive.
oh, not another music one, and I was immediately disinterested. But now you're like, oh, he like doesn't care too much about it. I'm like, okay, maybe I'll read it.
Yeah, no, that whole series is about them kind of like going to like summer like basically the first book they go to summer camp together and they're paired
Okay.
up in a band. And so that's a really cute dynamic, but it the main character who's like so great at music, his band is breaking up and he doesn't give a shit. And the guy who's in love with him is like, I love your band so much. Like the cigars can't break up. And he's like, we're going to break up. Like, I'm going to be a music producer. I have to grow up. Like, this is the
Grow
rest of my life.
up.
And they like definitely I can my family's all musicians and I did not get the musical genes. So one thing I will say is when a boy starts playing the guitar, it can either be for me like I either love a music I either love a musician if he is cool like the character in Classmates, he's playing the guitar, he's like rocking out, he has no stage fright, whatever. A boy playing the acoustic guitar at me is my worst fucking nightmare. Like a boy singing like an emotional love song to me is my worst nightmare. And I have I have a bias against Given. I haven't watched it yet because I was just like, oh my God, sad boys singing their sad guitar songs
I can't wait
makes,
until we do our Given episode. We're just gonna rip
I
into it
know.
the whole time.
I know, but the thing is, you've already seen it, and I'm just like, I'm prepared to eat my fucking words because I've
No,
never
because you
watched
always love
an
stuff, but I'm just
I
like,
know.
I've been exposed to it so much, I'm just annoyed by it now. But
Yep.
I'm excited for you.
Oh yeah, you're gonna watch it. I'm gonna like be fangirling. I'm gonna be like, wow, it was the best piece of media I've ever seen.
Every
But
time,
right now,
every single time.
every time I'll say that it's without surprise that
Okay,
every show we watch is my new favorite
it's
show.
giving, but your opinion on the guitar thing, it's giving truly the Barbie movie.
Yes, that is exactly what I'm talking about. Is when Ken sits down on the beach and everyone is just like,
It's all the
oh.
kids and they're all playing guitar, and all the girls are like, oh
It
no.
literally couldn't be a cringier thing. Like it could not be cringier. And a boy singing at another boy with an acoustic guitar, sad boy song, it doesn't make it any less cringy
Doesn't
for me.
matter. Doesn't matter.
So I'm like excited, and I've seen some like edits and stuff that make the music in Given look really good. So like I'm holding out hope for it, but I will say oftentimes when a boy pulls a guitar out, I'm just like, oh, shh, 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 shh. We don't need to do that.
I it was my husband and I had just started dating, and he was in law school and he was studying for the bar, and so he lived with his parents. And so I went over to his parents' place for like a cookout at their neighbor's house or something, and then afterwards we were hanging out and he pulls out his guitar, and now we're married, and I don't know what that says about me. The guitar piece had nothing to do with it. In fact, I'm like sweating. I hope he'll never watch this episode. And I'm like sitting there, I'm like
You're like, I was this close to not marrying this man.
First of all, he had a Samsung phone. Second of all, he pulled out a guitar in front of me. I don't know how we got married. Like, there's usually immediate no's for me. And like, I was like, man, there's something about this guy. I kept like breaking my own rules, and now we're married. We're in love.
You know what? It's a canon event because I hate to be this girl, but I've told you before the way I would have bullied Wolfgang in high school for watching anime, and when I met him and he's just like, yeah, so I love Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and anime, and I was just like, I guess I'm gonna also have to learn to like those things. I want to so badly make fun of you, and I also want you to put a ring on my finger. So how do I walk that line? How do I both? You're such a nerd, but why am I so attracted to you? So
and now you have a podcast, so you're like really on it.
Now I've become him. Yeah, at least you're not sitting on this podcast with like an acoustic guitar singing sad songs to me. At least we don't pick up all of our boyfriends' habits. Okay.
And I tell you what, that was the last time I saw him pick up a guitar too.
You were like, we can move forward on a very certain set of conditions. Burn the guitar.
It's not even, I don't know why in that moment that was what he defaulted to. I don't know if it was like a defense mechanism because he was nervous or what, but like, again, to this day, like, I haven't even seen him tune a guitar since then.
Yeah,
so if he'd have picked it up a second time, that probably would have been like, okay, I can't do this. But it was just the once, and I'm like, okay, it was just once.
I can forget. I can make myself forget.
I hadn't until you brought that up, and I was like, oh no, that was me.
Oh. You're like, unfortunately, I do know a boy who's done that. The media makes it.
Who could ever date a guy?
The media very much so confuses the boys because it's like girls love a rock star, and it's like, yes, we do. We don't want to see anything in between you learning the guitar and you being a rock star. I don't want the sound check in my bedroom. It's usually
not the guitar skills that get us.
Nope, it's definitely not. It's the bad boy cigarette smoking, which also this character in this, we might as well just talk about delusional boyfriends. Okay, so from this series, both of them are high schoolers, which usually I would just be like, oh, I don't want to pick a high schooler, but it's very clear. What if I said that the pedo teacher was my
No, okay, so whenever there's a high schooler, our rule is that like we pick up the two, which is the better partner to the other person.
Well, yeah, okay. And who would you
unless there are old characters that we're like into, right?
Or who would you have dated in high school? Like,
or who would you have dated in high school, right?
And very clearly, the one I would have dated in high school is the guitar playing, cigarette smoking dummy. Like that would have been.
High school me was such a different person. Like,
who would you have picked?
If I were to show you my high school boyfriends, you'd be like, is that the main character of this? Except I dated the ones that just looked like the nerdy ones, but they're actually like kind of dumb because like I was smarter than all of them.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? But like the dark hair glasses kid was the only guys I dated in high school.
And to be clear, he's so cute in this movie. Like, he's so cute. He's so cute.
Yeah, because he's a little crybaby, and the little crybaby boys are kind of precious sometimes. Except for in Given. I don't like the crybaby boy in Given, and he's the only crybaby that I don't like. Not to circle back to that, but I'm just like, stop crying.
I am such a sucker for crybabies. And the blonde in this one, like the crybaby top dynamic, like he doesn't do it until the moment where he realizes that. So when they're at their choral performance and he looks over at at Saijo and he sees that he's singing well because he taught him, and he also realizes that like now that he doesn't have to tutor him in singing, maybe he won't be interested in him anymore. And then he gets this jealousy where he's like, did he only even want to learn how to sing so he could seduce our music teacher? And all of those emotions hit him while he's on stage, and he's never had stage fright before, and he's never had like performance anxiety, and he starts crying and he runs
like,
off the
full
stage
tears while singing.
In the middle of their competition. He starts bawling and he runs off the stage. And I love that in that moment, the other character, who's usually the crybaby, like runs to him, and he follows him, and he's just like, also he's gotten this taste of what the other one experiences all the time, which is like this being overly emotional and having that anxiety and being worried about how things are going to go. But I did love that moment where he looks down at himself and realizes he's crying, and he's just like, I can't stop crying. Both of these characters were so cute to me, and they obviously, would I date my delusional boyfriend in real life? If I was in high school and that character was interested in me, who like played the guitar, was like very forward about how he felt about me, like of course I would date that character. He's such a good boyfriend. Like he's so cute. But does he beat any of my other boyfriends? Like he's the cutest little cutie, but no.
No, absolutely not. In fact, I like all the guys I dated in high school that were the nerdy glasses kids that were like pretended like they weren't interested in me. Like now we were like obviously still mutuals on the internet and stuff, and I'm like, don't talk to me. In fact, if someone asked me to go to like a high school reunion, I'd be like, I would rather die. Like you cannot. And I was like, I went to a nerd high school, but I was like pretty popular. Like I was well liked. I won't say popular. I was well liked. And even then I'm like, I don't want to go back and see any of those people.
I did just miss my 10-year high school reunion, and I'll remind you that there was only 13 kids in our class, and so they had a 10-year reunion, and I think 6 of them showed up, and I was just like, absolutely goddamn not.
No, plus I live too far from where I grew up anyway. But honestly, if I lived 20 minutes from where I grew up, you couldn't have paid me money to go back to my high school reunion for the 10th, because yeah, my 10th would have been last year. No, I didn't go. See, I didn't even know. No, wait, no, that was more than a year ago. It was like, who knows how old I am. Honestly, either way, 20, 30, 50-year reunion, I'm not going. You can't make me.
You can't make me. No, nobody who I was interested in high school would I be interested in now. And to be quite frank, also, like the character who I pick as my delusional boyfriend, in high school, I would have been like, yes, starving artist, like passionate, dummy, like we can just smoke weed and hang out, like whatever. At 18, literally my type. At 28, I'm like, glasses boy would at least be making money. In real life, I'm definitely at 28, definitely not trying to go for the ambitionless like rocker boy. So no, in real life, my tastes have definitely changed now. But that it's funny because that was my husband at 18, and then he grew into the breadwinner. I'm like, yeah, definitely. In order to be any of my number one delusional boyfriends, especially anime, like Viktor Nikiforov is drowning in money from his 5 national championships. Yes. Yeah. So it would be quite hard at this point.
Wait, now's my chance. I know I'm not usually on my side of the office, but
I so wish we could get like your head next to it so that the thumbnail could be us.
Oh wait, I can stand up.
Stand up because I definitely want the thumbnail to be this.
Okay.
This should be our Yuri on Ice thumbnail. Which we're gonna have to cover Yuri on Ice.
Yes.
We have to do a bonus episode. It's like all time. That should be a Christmas special or something. We could do Yuri on Ice.
My husband's going to hate it because I'm going to play it on blast on our living room TV, and I'm never going to skip the OP ever.
Never skip it. Never. And I just want to reiterate for the listeners out there that Val did walk down the aisle to History Maker.
And it made me cry. Like, I wasn't going to cry at anything else, but when History Maker started I was like, no, I do love him.
I do love it. We are making history. This is true love. Eros, agape.
Oh my gosh.
I did almost get over my knees, which I'm still going to do this. I'm going to get Eros and agape tattooed on me, but Wolfgang like lost it and he was like, don't do it. Don't. And I was like, shh, sure, I won't do it. But I'm definitely going to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, this movie, I will say that Classmates is one of my favorites now. It's hard because they're all my favorites. And this one I found kind of no flaws in it. But then again, also it's teenagers and I will always just kind of always just not give as big of a shit about two teenagers as I will about this ice skater and the guy he's coaching and the rings they exchange, like all of that. It does just hold like a little bit more weight with me.
Whatever Christmas special we do for Yuri on Ice, I hope you're prepared to talk for 3 hours.
Oh,
because
we'll be talking for
like
3 hours.
I have so much dialogue that I want to discuss related to the sports anime to BL pipeline.
Oh yes.
And also like the censorship piece of like the ring exchange and is it a BL, and like there's just so much discourse and emotion that I feel for it, and I am teed up. I'm ready. Like, let's do it.
I am so ready. It makes me mad because like I'm so excited with Classmates. I can go collect all these manga right now, and with like a made for TV or like a straight to anime show, like with nothing.
No other source. There's no source material. Nothing else.
Like I would buy the script, like the screenplay, because there's literally nothing else. So yeah, very happy that with Classmates I can add something to my collection, because with my favorite, that's all I get. And at least with Classmates, I can even delude myself into thinking that there's going to be a sequel, that we could one day get another anime. And we definitively know Mappa has taken any dreams of that for Yuri on Ice and literally squashed it. So
yeah.
We live with that reality, and thank God we have these other BLs, because
guess I'll just have to go on AO3.
Yep, we'll have to go on. Oh, thank God for a fanfic of Yuri.
Well, plus, so I went to a con recently, and there's like a printed version of like fan art or something that I bought, and it's on display. I'll have to move it up when I rearrange my office, but I have to.
Is it like a full doujinshi?
It's like hardcover. I don't have it up here. I'll have to like send you pics on the side, but it's like it's all in Japanese, but it's like I think it's fan club organized, and so like the fan club goes in and like writes stuff and like draws stuff, and it's all like that's all that it is. And there's like multiple of these because again, like you said, there's no other source material for it.
Yep.
So all the fan clubs are like making their own stuff.
Oh yeah, no, I've definitely, if anybody knows where I can procure a doujinshi, I would buy the physical right away. A friend of mine from the One Piece of Trash podcast, she just got a One Piece doujinshi at a con and was like, it was in the 18 plus. There was a guy selling these, and anyway, so I was like, okay, that's what I need to be doing, is prioritizing the 18 plus cons where they have like the full smut section tent. But definitely I'm excited. What's our next anime going to be? Hold on, let me check.
I'm so excited now.
Okay. So I was going to say I am really excited to be going from our high school, because we've hit so many young stories in a row. I'm excited to be like fully in the world of adults, not just the world of adults, but like Heaven's Official Blessing is going to be our September BL anime. So guys, make sure if you're not already subscribed to the podcast, make sure you have auto downloads on so that you hear that one coming up next month. Val will be back for it. it's one of the biggest fandoms I would say out there at the moment. Like Heaven's Official Blessing has so much rep. So I'm super, super excited to do that one. If you're not following along on socials, make sure that you follow Delusional Boyfriend Book Club or Delusional BF Book Club on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Subscribe to us on YouTube if you guys want to watch the video version of this podcast. If you're listening on a podcast app, there's always a video version on YouTube. And make sure you go follow Val's podcast, Girls, Gays, Animes. They've got YouTube, they've got Girls Games Animes where they do playthroughs, and I have been joining Val for some live streaming of different games. The last one we did was MonsterCon. Was that what it was called?
Yeah,
It was super fun. So we'll be doing that over on her channel. So make sure you subscribe over to her socials as well. It's Girls, Gays, Animes on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, right?
Yes. Yeah, we're girls, gays, animes everywhere except for Twitch, where we're Girls Games, Animes, GAYMES, because so far we're just playing LGBTQ plus inclusive games.
Yes, it was so fun to stream over there. So definitely follow along on her socials so you can see when we go live. Super, super fun. Thank you guys so much for being along here for the ride. I hope that you enjoyed Classmates, and I so hope that you'll join us for Heaven's Official's Blessings. And until next time, remember, sometimes the delusion
is the solution.
Bye.
Bye.